Good morning. On behalf of the citizens and the elected officials of the town of Smyrna, I would like to welcome you each to our annual Memorial Day ceremony. Please stand as the town of Smyrna Fire Department Honor Guard presents our national colors. Guard. Oh. This morning we're here to remember, reflect, and respect those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. Staff Sergeant Asbury Hahn II, Specialist Raymond Mitchell III, Chief Warrant Officer Billy Jean Grinder, John D. Campbell, John B. Hunt, Robert N. King, Richmond F. B. Merritt, William D. Neely III, Samuel W. Peebles Jr., Allie C. Towns Jr., Fred Evans Mitchell III. These people are recognized on a monument to my left, your right, that represented the town of Smyrna. At this time, I would like to call on Jay Barnes to take the podium to lead us in a prayer. Now bow, please. Father of us all, in the depth of our silent reverence, we realize the truth of the inspired words, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. As comrade after comrade departs, we march on with our ranks grown thinner. Help us to be faithful unto thee and to one another. Look in mercy on the surviving spouses and children of our departed comrades, we beseech thee, and with thine own tenderness console and comfort those who are bereaved. Heavenly Father, bless our country with freedom, peace, and righteousness. Through thy favor, may we meet at last before thy throne in heaven. We praise thy great name forever and forever. Amen. At this time, I call on Commander Darrell Burke to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. On.
At this time, I'd like to call on Anna Jacob Ellis to present our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free brave.
Order on. Right, please. Forward, march.
Thank you, Miss Jacob Ellis. I had the pleasure with the mayor to hear her sing at a performance at Stewart's Creek High School. I'm not sure what grade she's in, but she is a student at Stewart's Creek, and we appreciate her and her family coming out this morning and being part of this. At this time, please be seated. At this time, it is my privilege to introduce the Commander, Darrell Burke, of VFW Post 8422, for some comments. Yes, sir.
Well, I'd like to start off by saying, first of all, thank you, Mayor, and the town of Smyrna for letting us host this ceremony today. And Brian, for you and your crew always organizing it, putting it together. Where's the chief hiding at? Well, there he is taking pictures. Chief and his fire department who come out here and set this up in the heat, and the ones that have to take it back down in the heat while we're back in our air-conditioned cars and heading to the post, which you're all invited out to today. We're having lunch and cold beverages. And I'm not one for a very big speech, and I was laying in my bed last night trying to think of what could I say about Memorial Day. And I was laying there watching the NASCAR race, and they called it the Remembrance Race. And I don't exactly know which car wrecked. I think it was number 16. And they pronounced the name of a servicewoman who lost her life in Afghanistan. And I was laying there, and they say she was 18 years old. And I thought, well, that's what this day is about. That young lady lost her life in Afghanistan for the freedom of this country. And then yesterday, some of us veterans were all placing flags on our fallen comrades like we do every year before Memorial Day. I come across one who was a husband and wife team, both served in Korea. And I thought, man. And I was talking to one of the other fellow veterans, there's several out here like this. Well, it's the first one I ever seen, because we go every year, and there's way too many stones out there. And as we see the lay of the flags, I come across a young Marine. Lost his wife in Operation Iraqi Freedom. Kid was 20 years old. Then again, it hit home what this day actually stands for. And it brought upon another remembrance I had. Several years ago, I had the extreme pleasure to accompany a very good friend of mine named John Brzezinski, who was the Grand Commander for the Military Order of the Cooties, which is an honor degree above the VFW. We went to Arlington Cemetery and got to play a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier. As I stood there waiting my turn to lay the wreath, looked at the tomb and thought, what a pity. All those service personnel buried there, no one knows their name except for God. It's a sad thing to think about. And as we got ready to leave, I looked around that over 600-acre cemetery. And all them plain white markers, thousands of them. And you sit there and think, what a lucky individual. And the other veterans sitting in the audience today, that we made it home to hang up our uniform. But all them white markers never knew what it was like to come home. And all those families that their loved ones lost their life for this great nation and this freedom we enjoy today. Sons, the mothers, the children. And that's what this day means to me. It's not about barbecuing, boating, and camping, which is fine to do those things. The ones who fought for this freedom and paid the ultimate sacrifice would want us to enjoy this 3-day weekend. They would want us to go out there and camp, barbecue, and boat. But us veterans, we choose to be here like the people that are here today. to remember. I just hope the ones out there boating and camping will take a few minutes and stop to reflect on why they have this 3-day weekend. How many people paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to have this 3-day weekend? With that being said, once again, I'd like to welcome you all to the VFW this afternoon for hot dogs, hamburgers, and all the fixings. And once again, thank you all for coming.
And he says he's not a public speaker.
It comes from the heart, Brian.
We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our veterans. We especially appreciate those that, as you said, didn't make it home. Many of us have family members or someone we know that fits into that category. They asked me to make a few comments, and I thought about what I wanted to say, and this morning I found a poem that I want to read. And that's really all I want to say this morning, what this poem says. This is Memorial Day. This is Memorial Day in our land of the free. It's because of those who sacrificed, whose graves you're here to see. They fought on foreign lands and across the open sea and paid the ultimate price to keep you and I free. So put all things aside and honor this important day, which we have dedicated as our Memorial Day. This is by retired Lieutenant Colonel Samuel Lombardo. I thought the words spoke, and I don't need to say anything else. It's my pleasure now to introduce a couple of guest speakers we have, and as you know, in the past we've had guest speakers to share with us their thoughts and their hearts on this Memorial Day. But today we have two very special gentlemen, Stephen King, not the author, and Roger Thomas. It's my privilege to introduce these two gentlemen who will offer remarks today. These men share a common bond. Both have uncles whose names are inscribed in the monument because they were killed in a battle while serving our country during World War II. Stephen King is a nephew of Robert Neal King, and he'll speak first, followed by Roger Thomas, nephew of John Buford Hunter. Both of those names I read earlier. Gentlemen, the podium is yours.
On this day, we honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, 11 of which were in Smyrna. We will place a wreath on the monument today as General George MacArthur, Douglas MacArthur did when he came to Smyrna and placed the wreath on the original monument on April the 30th, 1951. He was once quoted as saying, "I do not know the dignity of their birth, but I do know the glory of their death." My uncle Robert Nilking was born October 26, 1917 in the old Jefferson community of Smyrna. He enlisted in the United States Army on April 11, 1942, and after training, he was shipped to Europe. On December 11, 1942, his battalion moved to the Ardennes sector on the Siegfried Line along the Belgian border. On December the 16th, 1944, the first day of the Battle of the Bulge, he was hit by mortar fire and subsequently died in the early morning hours of December 17th. He was buried in a cemetery in Foy, Belgium. After the war, my grandfather wanted him to return closer to home, so on March 31st, 1949, his body was returned to Smyrna by train and later was taken to the National Cemetery in Nashville for reburial. Roger Thomas and I have been friends since first grade, and until recently, I didn't know we shared a special bond. His uncle, John Buford Hunter's body and my uncle's body will return home on the same train. I would like to end with an excerpt from my father's cousin, Adeline King, who wrote a column for the Rutherford Courier for many years. She wrote this column to commemorate Memorial Day. It's called Requiem for a Quiet Young Man. My younger cousin, Robert Neal King, was the 5th child in the family of 10 children. 4 of the sons were in service in World War II. I knew him the day of his birth, held him as an infant. when his mother came to visit. As a little boy and as a teenager, he was quiet and shy. He listened and smiled, but rarely put in a word. A medium height, slim, neat, with light hair and blue eyes and a sincere countenance, he put on the uniform of his country, was shipped to the European theater of war, and in the bitter cold of mid-December 1944, fell near a small town in southeast Belgium. Later he was brought back to Tennessee and buried in the National Cemetery in Nashville. Except for his untimely death, he might today have become a grandfather and have enjoyed a long and useful life. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Roger Thomas, and I am truly proud to be standing here with my longtime friend, Steve King. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be here. On behalf of myself, my family, and the other families of those heroes, thank you. We're here this morning to share some memories of two of the names on this memorial and put a face to their names. My Uncle John Buford Hunter was born on the 31st of July, 1921. And joined the United States Army on the 1st of October, 1939 at the age of 18. Bo and his brother Ed Hunter, who was a member of the United States Navy, served during the Normandy invasion. Bo would serve in the landing at the beachhead, while George served on the destroyer off the coast of France. My Uncle Ed was 17 at the time. At the age of 23, Bo was killed in action in France when he was hit by artillery fire. I have a journal that my grandmother began writing on the day Bo left for war. You can feel their love for one another in her words for her son. I can't repeat a lot of it because it is very, very sad. It was especially tough on her because she continued to receive mail from Bo after he was killed in action. This was because of the difficulty in getting communication from the front line back to the States. I even remember as a child seeing her cry. I didn't understand at the time what she was going through. I do understand now. Steve and I have several pictures and newspaper clippings on display here today. If you'll notice in one of them, Mayor Sam Ridley is one of the pallbearers. My father would recall Mayor Ridley weeping that day. Bo was buried at Mapleview Cemetery along with his brother Ed, who was killed in a car wreck less than a year before Bo's funeral. I would like to close by reading Bo's obituary. John Buford Hunter, Tech 5, 8th Infantry, 4th Division, World War II, killed in France, August 4th, 1944. Survived by his father, Theo Lipscomb Hunter, his mother, Amanda Louise Hunter, sisters Dorothy, Billie Jean, and my mom, Lena May, all of Oak Jefferson. Funeral service, April 1st, 1949, at the Victory Home in Oak Jefferson, conducted by Reverend Herman Todd. Military services conducted by Smith Roger Reeves, VFW of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Comrades from the W.D. Neely 3rd VFW post of Smyrna, Tennessee will serve as pallbearers. Interment, Mapleview Cemetery, Walter King Hoover Funeral Home. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call on Ron Alley and a guest from the Carte Artista to perform America the Beautiful.
spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. Beautiful for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy glory find, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine.
At this time, I'll ask the honor guard to bring the wreath forward. Please stand. want to thank you for sharing your time with us today to honor those that have paid that ultimate sacrifice. There are some pictures up here that some of you may be interested in seeing from our speakers and their families. I invite you to come up and see those. I also want to challenge you today to remember those 3 words I shared with you earlier. Today is a day of honor, so remember, respect, and reflect as we go forward. On behalf of the VFW, I would like to invite you each to lunch immediately following this ceremony. The VFW is located at 10157 Old Nashville Highway. That concludes our service today. Thank you for being here.